What's going on, guys? Kevin here from thesportsgeek.com, and in this video I'm going to go over my DraftKings and FanDuel NFL Week 8 picks. So for this week's video, I'm going to combine all of my picks into one video. Last week I tried breaking it up into two different videos. We had mixed reviews. Some people liked that I gave out more picks splitting it up that way, but a lot of people like the old way with just one video each week. So we're going to go back to the old way. I'm going to release one video and it's going to come out on Wednesdays or Thursdays from now on instead of Tuesdays, just so I can do a little more research and we have some more injury news and notes to look at as well. And in case you're wondering, this t-shirt does not just say fantasy football, it's the fantasy football GOAT t-shirt from DraftKings. All right, let's get on to the NFL Week 8 picks. All right, so before we move on to my NFL Week 8 picks, let's take a look back at my Week 7 picks from last week's video. As you can see there, we gave out more picks than usual. And on the left-hand side there, we have quite a few solid picks. We had Andy Dalton put up 23 points. Kirk Cousins was a really good quarterback pick, putting up 25 points. AJ Green with 33. Jamison Crowder with 20. Jaquiz Rodgers with 20. And the Ravens defense with 17. And then on the right-hand side there, you can see I had some poor picks as well. Marcus Mariota only put up 17 points. Kendall Wright didn't get much done at all, 3.2 points. Allen Robinson was a guy who really hurt me this week, ruined a lot of my pretty good lineups on the week, 2.9 points. And then Hunter Henry was one of my favorite tight ends. He only put up 2.6 points. And I've also got a note there that I give out picks via email Saturday or Sunday morning. So if you're not signed up for my email list, make sure that you click on that lineup tool link in the YouTube description below. That will get you on the email list and you'll get my email updates as well. All right, so again, this week we had some great emails and YouTube comments and tweets from some people who won some money. If you're not listed here, but you did tweet me or send me an email, congrats to you as well. I couldn't include everyone. I'll run through these quickly though. We had Brian, he won $400 on a $4 entry using the Sports Geek Pro model at Fantasy Labs. You can see a screenshot there. He came in 7th with 213 DraftKings points. And then, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but Varanchi, he got in the top 400 in the Millie Maker, so that's out of over 200,000 people. He won $300 off a $20 entry, so congrats to you. We had Solly. He said he made a few $100 off of just a few bucks. Congrats, Solly. Harley won his first GPP. Congrats to you, Harley. We had Richie, who used Cousins, and he used a few other people, but he said that I gave him the idea to use Cousins, and he took down first place, winning $7,000. So congrats to you, Richie. That's huge. And I thought it was interesting that Cousins was actually on the Millie Maker winner team. So Cousins won someone $1 million this past week. Unfortunately, my Cousins and Crowder stacks, some of them did pretty well, but nothing did too well. I usually had them stacked with someone like Allen Robinson in the lineup or Hunter Henry, someone who put up a dud that really ruined my Cousins lineup. But Cousins was a great play last week, so I'm glad it worked out for Richie. Let's move on to my Week 8 picks. All right, so my first DraftKings and FanDuel NFL Week 8 stack is going to be Jameis Winston from the Bucs at $5,700, paired with his number one receiver, Mike Evans, who's $8,100 on DraftKings. The Bucs are at home versus Oakland with a high total set at 49 points. The Raiders are last in the NFL, giving up 6.7 yards against per play, and they're 31st in passing yards against per attempt. So the Raiders defense has been pretty brutal all around. I expect Jameis Winston to have a pretty good game. Winston has thrown the ball 30 or more times in each game played this year, and he has scored 26 or more DraftKings points twice already this year. If we can get 26 or more again this week, it'd be a pretty good score given his price at $5,700. Mike Evans has 19 or more DraftKings points in 5 of his 6 games played this year and is second in the NFL in targets, even with one fewer games than most receivers with their Week 6 bye. So this definitely will be a popular stack, just a cheap quarterback wide receiver combo at home against a bad defense. But it's someone that I'll definitely be playing in GPPs, and if I was playing cash games, I would probably consider this to be my number one stack there as well. My second stack on the week is going to be Carson Palmer from the Cardinals. He's $6,000 on DraftKings, paired with Larry Fitzgerald, who's $7,500 on DraftKings. They're going to be at Carolina with a high total set at 48 points in that game. The Panthers are 24th in yards against per play, 30th in yards against per passing attempt, and 29th in points against per game. So the Panthers defense, which was really good last year, they lost some key pieces in their secondary, and they've been pretty brutal, especially against the pass this year. We've had a slow fantasy start for Palmer this year with just one game over 20 DraftKings points, but that was versus the Bucs where he put up 27.2 DraftKings points. And in my opinion, the Panthers are a comparable defense with the Bucs. They're both pretty good versus the run, but they're bad versus the pass. So we could look for something like the 27 DraftKings points that Palmer put up against the Bucs this week against the Panthers, and that would be a pretty good score to start off your lineups. Fitzgerald has seen 7 or more targets in each game this year and has double-digit DraftKings points in each, with 2 games over 26 DraftKings points. So at 7,500, I really like Fitzgerald this weekend, and I really like stacking him with Palmer. Next up, we got my first running back of the week, Devonta Freeman, $6,500 on DraftKings. The Falcons are at home versus the Packers with a high total at 52.5 points, and Atlanta has the highest implied team total of the week. So they're expected to score a lot of points. I believe their implied team total is just under 28 points. Freeman had been splitting time with Tevin Coleman, but all signs are pointing to Coleman being out for week 8, so Freeman will take over the number 1 running back role there in Atlanta. And even with splitting touches, Freeman had DraftKings scoring games of 34, 14, 21, and 15 this year. And going back to last year, he was the highest scoring fantasy running back. And the Packers are first in rushing yards against per attempt, but I could see them struggling versus one of the league's best offenses. We saw them struggle against Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys 2 weeks ago, and they haven't faced many really good runners, and I think Devonta Freeman should be able to cut them up for a pretty big game. Next up, we've got a value wide receiver, Quincy Enunwa from the Jets at $4,800 on DraftKings. The Jets are going to be at Cleveland versus the Browns, who have one of the league's worst defenses. The Browns rank 31st in yards against per play and dead last in passing yards against per attempt. Enunwa has put up games of 19, 15, 12, and 15 DraftKings points so far this year, and now gets his best matchup of the season. Marshall and Enunwa are both in play for me for the Jets, but I like the cheap price of Enunwa for GPPs. One of the tight ends I'll be playing this week is going to be Travis Kelce from the Chiefs. He's $4,900 on DraftKings. The Chiefs are at Indianapolis as 2.5-point favorites in a game with a total set at 50 points. So this game's got a close spread. It's got a high total. The Vegas sportsbooks are expecting a bit of a shootout, back and forth type game. And Kelce has put up double-digit DraftKings scores in half of his games this year, with games of 13, 20, and 13 DraftKings points. The Colts rank 26th in passing yards against per attempt and are 27th in DraftKings points against to tight ends. Because of his higher price at $4,900, I'm only going to have him in a small percentage of my lineups, but I think he could break out this week with a game of over 20 DraftKings points, so I'll have him in somewhere over 10% of my lineups, I would guess. And then we've got 4 more DraftKings and FanDuel NFL Week 8 picks, starting off with running back Spencer Ware from the Chiefs, who's $6,800 on DraftKings. In his 3 starts versus below average run defenses, Ware has put up 34, 27, and 21 DraftKings points. He now gets the Colts, who are 28th in the NFL in rushing yards against per attempt. Vegas is expecting a high-scoring game against the Colts, and I think that will be positive for Ware and putting up DraftKings points. And as long as Jamal Charles is limited again in Week 8, I think Spencer Ware is a great play. And then we've got another value receiver here, John Brown from the Cardinals. He's $4,700 on DraftKings. He's expected to be back in the lineup after missing their Week 7 game versus the Seahawks. In his 4 most recent starts, when he's moved up to the number 2 receiver role in Arizona, he has put up 13, 27, 2, and 10 DraftKings points. So 3 out of 4 good games. And like mentioned earlier, the Cardinals will be up against a bad Panthers pass defense. And John Brown is another receiver you could either stack with Palmer or play on his own this week. My second tight end pick here is going to be Zach Ertz from the Eagles at $3,600 at DraftKings. Ertz is strictly a GPP play this week, but I think a pretty good one given his price. This game at Dallas is expected to be a slow-paced and lower-scoring game, but Ertz still has high upside in any game he plays. To finish off last year, he had 3 straight games over 20 DraftKings points, and then he opened up this season with 11.8 DraftKings points before being injured. He hasn't done much since returning from his injury, but he is playing in over 80% of the snaps, and the Cowboys rank 28th in fantasy points against to tight ends. I'll be throwing Ertz in some lineups here in Week 8. And then I've got a value defense/special teams play here on the Chargers. They're $2,400 on DraftKings, just $400 over the minimum. The Chargers are in Denver this week for a rematch against the Broncos. In Week 6, they beat the Broncos 21-13 in San Diego, and they put up 12 DraftKings points in that game. San Diego's first-round pick, Joey Bosa, has been a beast in his limited action. I think he's really helped turn the San Diego defense into a pretty respectable unit. I'll be playing a lot of Booker for the Broncos at running back, but in the lineups that I'm not playing Devontae Booker and I need to save some money with a defense, I'll be looking the Chargers way this week for week 8. All right, that wraps up my NFL week 8 picks. If you want to win more money at DraftKings or FanDuel this year, I highly recommend you check out the Fantasy Labs tools. I'll leave a link to Fantasy Labs in the YouTube description below. They're the best daily fantasy tools out there in my opinion. If you enjoyed this DraftKings and FanDuel pick video, please do me a big favor and click that thumbs up or like button on YouTube. It will help support my YouTube channel and let me know that you want me to continue making these videos weekly. As always, guys, good luck in your contest this week. Hope you make some money. Cheers. If you don't want to miss out on any videos that I post, I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To do that, just click on this button over here. Or if you want to watch another one of my videos that I think you'll enjoy, click on the video image over here.